Good morning, Thriving Therapist. I just wanted to hop on here real quick so we can talk for a few minutes about speaking gigs. How many of you are interested in doing some speaking engagements? And how many of you have already done a few speaking engagements on a subject that might be an expertise for you? I'm really curious to hear how you got started with that and what's working for you, what's not working for you. Let's share with our amazing community. I just love this group. This has been so much fun to administer these comments and share all of our wisdom. So I'm going to tell you a few things about what I've learned in terms of speaking gigs. And I've got all my notes here on my computer, so that's why I'm looking over this way. But I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about how to get started. I'm assuming that some of you are rather new to doing some speaking engagements. And I think I've attached to this, this Thriving Therapist Live a PDF file, which will show you a way to craft your proposal. A lot of times when you go to try to pitch to be a speaker for bigger conferences and speaking engagements that are larger opportunities, they'll tell you exactly what they're looking for. But if they don't, then that format will just give you a, oh, Allie says she had her first one this week. Yay! Way to go, Allie. I can't wait to hear about it. You'll have to tell us where it was. And you'll be able to see on that PDF how I structured my pitch. Sometimes they'll tell you that they want objectives, or they want references, or they want your bio, they want maybe a short description for their program, or they want a long description to review. Sometimes they want your resume. So there's a lot to know about pitching, but I would love to tell you what I've learned. So first of all, when you get started with speaking engagements, I think it's really important to start small and start for free, because you're building up your reputation as an expert. And I started with a lot of local little clubs. I went to Gilda's Club, I went to Rotary Club, I went to the Optimist Club, I contacted hospital social workers. I was asking if they had support groups that I could be part of. In the original part of my private practice work, I did a lot of work with oncology, and I tried to do like breast cancer support groups. I did caregiver support groups. I did hospice support groups. And then from those support groups, I'm sorry, my throat is so scratchy this morning. From those support groups, then I went on and did larger things. Like sometimes then, like the hospital where I would do a support group would have a annual conference. And sometimes they would have a conference for staff. And sometimes then after they got my name and after they knew that I was a pretty good speaker on a particular topic, then they would invite me back for their conference to be a speaker. And from there, I started to try to build myself up as an expert in a certain niche audience. So I made a page on my website for speaking. So you can see on my websites, I have two websites. I have my name, megangunnell.com, and I have the Thriving Well Institute, which is my company. On both websites, you'll see that I've got speaking pages, and you'll be able to see on there what I include. I'm going to get a little sip of tea here. I'm so scratchy this morning. I don't know what it is. Michigan weather. You can see on there that we have photos, we have videos, clips. I've got topics that I can be a speaker on. I have testimonials on that page. I have kind of a list of, highlight reel of all the places that I've done talks. And I think those are kind of like the most important things that you would want to add to your website page. But the testimonials add a lot of social proof. So anytime you go do a talk, even if it's a small library event that's a free gig, or even if it's a small club, ask the person who invited you to come to give you a testimonial in exchange for doing it for free. So usually they're very happy to do that because they're very happy to have you as a speaker. And then you get their quote and you put it on there that you did a great job and you were engaging and amazing and you knew a lot about the subject or whatever it was. And so that gives you some social proof on your website. As you get bigger, and when you get paid to people will start to solicit speaking engagements from you when you start to build up your reputation. Then what I did was I hired my own videographer and my own photographer, and I asked if I could bring them with me. You want to make sure that you're not jeopardizing any of the audience's confidentiality when you do that, but you ask to get that cleared by the person who's organizing the speaking event. And you can do your videos and you can do your photography clips and put those on your website. So that's worth its weight in gold, because a lot of times if you're going to pitch for TEDx stage, or you're going to pitch for big conferences, they want to see a video clip. They don't want to just know that you've been a speaker. They want to see you speak. So definitely consider that. It cost me a few $100s to get a videographer to videotape a couple lectures for me, and it was so worth it. What you can do when you really get going, that I haven't done yet, but I would love to, is make what they call a sizzle reel. And a sizzle reel is when you take a little clip of this talk and a little clip from this conference and a little clip from the TEDx stage and a little clip from this, speaking engagement, and you put the best highlight reel kind of clips all together, and you make what they call a sizzle reel. It's also a good idea as you start to grow and scale. If you want to do more than just your one-on-one clients, and I know a lot of you on this page already have a very large private practice going, or you have 10 to 15 years experience. Some of you are very new, but if you're looking to expand your income and you want to do speaking gigs and you want to speak at conferences, then it might be important to add that sizzle reel, or, putting on those video clips and photographs are really super important. I'm trying to see here what other comments we have. Oh, Allie says that she did an online Zoom about burnout to a large group of doulas. I love that. Oh my gosh. And then you've got a recording of it because you did it on Zoom, right? And so that's great. I'm so glad to hear that, because it's important that we expand our offerings in this way. So how to pitch? How do you pitch? I would recommend first you do a Google search, and your Google search can be, for me, when my expertise is women's health and women's issues, I'm Googling call for proposals, women's conferences, 2020, 2021 at this point. And you're going to find a big list of all of the different kinds of conferences that are calling for people to pitch. And again, you can start really small. I started also doing guest lectures for college classes at University of Michigan or Wayne State University, or I did some locally too for Oakland University. So those are also great ways just to kind of like get your chops, like work on your material and think about what you can offer. So then I moved, to some smaller clubs. And also don't forget that the chapter organizations of like NASW, or I'm sure the National Association has state chapters for, psychology groups, counselor groups, social worker groups. There's a Michigan chapter for, NASW, the National Association for Social Workers, and I look on their website to find out when their conferences are. I've looked on NAMI, the page, the National Association for Mental Illness, I think it is, NAMI. There's a ton of different, large-scale national organizations and state chapters that are having conferences, and they don't have a keynote speaker. You could be their keynote eventually. So you've got to start small and build up your chops, build up your talk. Maybe have 5, 6 different topics that you might be able to do a talk on. Sometimes people just have one. They become a very niche expert on just one talk. And they really refine that, and they offer it over and over again to a lot of different places. As I started to grow and I was doing a lot of talks, maybe I had done 50 to 75 different kinds of lectures. Then I started to get solicitations, and people would email me because they were Googling, speaker for whatever, women's health issues, or, self-care and mindfulness speaker or whatever. And somehow they would find my website. And then on my website pages, I always have that call to action button in there too. that says email if you'd like to find out more about Megan being a keynote, or let us know what your date, your conference date is, so we can see if we're available for that. And you do want more than just your information on that speaker website page. You're going to want to have a call to action button so that they can do something and connect with you when they see how great you are. But once I started getting solicitations, then I realized now I'm wondering how I can have a conversation about what to charge. So that was the tricky part for me to figure out, because I didn't have any forum like this to chat with people and find out how they did it. I didn't have a mentor to tell me what to do. So I was just trying to feel my way through the process. But I learned a lot about negotiating a contract. I've been flown out of state. I did a national conference for the Arkansas Hospice and Palliative Care Association. I don't know how they found me, but they flew me down to Little Rock, and I did a wonderful conference there for them, and that was amazing. And they paid me, I think, close to $3,000 plus travel, $2,500 plus travel, I think it was. So it came out to close to $3,000 to cover my expenses. So that was worth it for me to go for a weekend and be their speaker. And so I think that you'll start to find, if you set up your website page correctly and you start to demonstrate that you are an expert in a certain niche area. Don't forget, the more you niche down, even with defining your clients or defining your niche for speaking, the more people will come to you directly for that. Because when you're super broad and you are a general speaker on anything in terms of mental health, nobody knows exactly what you do. So I think the more specific you can be, the better. Let me peek in here and see what kind of comments. Oh, what did I look up again? Says Michelle. Hi, Michelle. I Google call for proposals, women's conferences 2021. Or I Google call for proposals, oncology conferences, call for proposals, mental health, conferences. So whatever your niche area is, bereavement, grief and loss, postpartum, anything, substance abuse, there's 1,000 conferences happening all over the world. Now, don't forget, you can also use your LinkedIn network. So anytime I do a talk, or anytime I'm getting ready to go do a talk, I always, put it on my LinkedIn. I always have people take pictures. I also ask the people organizing the conference, do you have a professional photographer who's going to be taking pictures of your conference? Can you please make sure that they come to my room when I'm doing a breakout and they get a picture of me speaking? And I'm going to try to link some photos into this chat so you can see. Well, you can look on my website too. There's a lot of really nice professional grade photographs that I would have never been able to get if I didn't ask for that. So, use your ability to ask for what you need, especially if you're speaking for free. They're going to be very happy to do whatever they can to, show that they're so grateful that you're a speaker. And so if they can get the professional photographer to your breakout session and make sure that you get great photos, then that's a great thing to try to coordinate. Women's conferences 2020, that's right. Oh, good, Michelle. I'm so glad that this is giving you lots to think about. I wish I would have known all this when I started, you guys. I was so in the dark. I mean, God, I had no idea what I was doing. And I was just fumbling my way through, trying to kind of elbow my way into the speaking world. I had no idea. One other thing I've learned about LinkedIn is there are people, don't forget, all over YouTube, and there are coaches that just are specifically out there to help you with your speaking engagements. And a lot of them have pretty lofty claims, so be careful about that. But lots of these free YouTube training videos and things will show you how to maximize your LinkedIn profile. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, we haven't talked a lot about LinkedIn, you should make one. Because it's a great way to network with referral sources or for speaking engagements. But what I was saying about that is I always put on LinkedIn, if I'm going to go be a speaker or if I have just been a speaker, I put all my information up there. I really am not afraid to splash it. And it's okay to brag a little bit about what your expertise is, because that helps people remember, oh, she's the one that does all that, those talks about self-care and mindfulness. Oh yeah, I saw that she was doing one at this other big conference out in, Arizona or whatever. So anytime that you have a chance to do that, you should. Now, when I went to that Harvard Writing and Publishing Conference a couple years ago that I've referenced a few times, it was amazing. If you ever get the chance to do it and you have any interest in writing or publishing a book, which I'm working on, I'm trying to work on myself, I would recommend going. They do it annually every year. It is a phenomenal conference, and they told us a lot about establishing yourself as an expert. They talked a lot about upping your social media, profile, and how to become, a recognized speaker. They talked about negotiating speaker contracts. I mean, there's a lot to learn. They talked about, all kinds of things in the publishing world, how to, get yourself quoted in large-scale publications, which will be another Facebook Live that I'm going to be doing soon. But what other questions do you guys have? I know I didn't even announce that I was doing this live, because usually I can hop on before my 8:30 patient. I'm here early enough that I can hop on before my 8:30 person comes. But yes, let's see. Oh, I did. Allie asked, do you do 50 to 75 talks before you got paid? I did approximately 50 to 75 talks before I got the like $3,000 range payments. But I also did a lot of talks for $200 or $300 plus good photos, or $500, or I never did much for less than, once I started getting paid, I kind of made a limit. I was like, I don't want to do anything less than 200, because I had to remember, like, it's your time. I mean, if you're taking a half a day to drive somewhere or, get somewhere, you really need to make it worth your money. The Harvard group also told me, I'm just remembering this, that you have to be willing to invest in yourself. When you're establishing yourself as a speaker, as an expert, you've got to be willing to invest in yourself. So the year that I did, the year after that I went to that conference, this was about 2 years ago, I put a lot of money into my own flights and my own hotel accommodations. But I got to be a speaker for MD Anderson conference. They said, we'd be happy to have you, but you have to pay for your own flight to get to this conference. Or we'd be happy to have you and we'll give you a discount on your room, but we're not going to be able to pay you. Or, there'd be these weird negotiations that they would do, like, we'll cover all your meals or ground expenses. Or, I do the Bryant Women's Summit every year. This is my 3rd year being a speaker there. I'm really excited about that. That's a wonderful symposium. There's thousands of women that come to Bryant University in Rhode Island. If you're out there, actually, if you're out that way, you guys should come to this. I think the registration opens on January 23rd, but Google the Bryant Women's Summit at Bryant University and you'll find all the information on there. It is happening in March, and it's a phenomenal conference. They always have great keynote speakers and they have really good breakout speakers. And I love the people that organize it, and it's always been a great experience. 3 years ago, I pitched to them, and they said, you can come and be a speaker, but we'll cover your hotel and all your on-the-ground expenses, but you have to cover your flight. So I thought, it's worth it. I want to do this. Plus, I got these phenomenal photos out of it, and it's amazing because it's a really large-scale conference. So I kind of was able to notch myself up to that stage level. And I was speaking on a much larger stage. I was speaking at on a national level. I was really, excited about flying somewhere to do that. I found myself a cheap flight. Actually, I used some miles that I had, so I didn't even have to pay for it. And it was totally worth it. It was a great experience, and I've met some amazing people because of it. So you do have to be willing, when you're ready to level up, to invest in yourself. You're not going to be invited for all expense paid trip to, California right out of the gate. But you will eventually. As you build up your reputation, they're going to want you. Okay, what else? Do you guys have any other questions here real quick before I hop off? I'll link my speaker pages to this comment thread so you guys can see that a little bit more in detail. I try to get little clips. I've even asked people in the audience, hey, can you hold my phone and take a video of this, or, you know, at least the first 10 minutes of my talk? Or can you take a couple pictures with my phone and then just leave it here for me when you're done or whatever? And it's fine. You can do that too. But I think getting professional photos, getting professional video clips is really important. And start small. Start with your local organizations that are totally related to your expertise or niche. People are looking for speakers everywhere. I mean, when you start to open up your searches, you'll realize that it's all over the place. All right, I gotta hop in here because I've got a client probably in my waiting room, and I will talk to you guys very soon. Have a great weekend and stay safe and warm. I think we're supposed to get a huge snowstorm here in Michigan. Woo! All right, I'll talk to you soon.